Ran into another one of our Wissota Auto Racing competitors. We are with Watertown, South Dakota's Morgan Ward Grosz. Morgan, I made you wait quite a while here. Apologize for that, but I'm glad you hung around with us. Let's talk about why you're here at PRI. Let's get that over with, right? Not over with, but let's get that into the interview right away. New employment for you, relatively new, working for My Race Pass now. How's that?
Yes, so I started with My Race Pass just this July, and it's been an amazing experience. If I could say one thing about it is I don't think there's enough drivers that know what we do and what we have to offer. So it's a very cool experience to be able to experience both sides of the racing world as a driver and then as somebody that supports it obviously on the complete other side. So it's been a great experience. I've been to PRI. This is my first time ever. So just soaking it all in, and I'm excited to see what My Race Pass has to offer for the future.
Yeah, man, there is a ton of stuff to see here for sure. And then when you come work the show, it's kind of crazy then as well. But let's talk My Race Pass for a minute. You know, My Race Pass came on the scene a handful of years ago and really changed the world. I mean, seriously, when you look at racers or promoters or whatever, I don't know how we would go backwards if My Race Pass was not around. Like, it's amazing to think 7-8 years ago how we even handled draws and lineups and those kind of things. And now the way things have progressed with driver websites and fantasy sports and all that kind of stuff, I mean, they have done an incredible job with everything.
They have, and it's like I was saying, what they have to offer is just crazy. Like you said, the driver websites to the business websites to, now we do some online marketing for web banner ads and app banner ads, and everyone you go to has the My Race Pass app on their phone. So it's a key thing to have at any track, and for any driver to have to fill in all their information so everyone can search them and be like, oh, who is that? Because usually they only know you as your race car number, not as a person. So that's kind of a cool thing that the app features, is you can put your profile picture and then a picture of your car, and people can really get to know who you are with the description of what you put.
No doubt, for sure. So, myracepass.com.
MyRacePass.com.
MyRacePass.com. Check it out. Let's focus on your racing career now. That's really why you're here. But obviously, My Race Pass is great. We know that, and I was glad to hear you kind of jumped on board with them. That's really cool. It's a great company, and it's fun for somebody who's been on the racing side of it to get into it. I know Josh and all those guys have raced in the past as well, but it's kind of fun for somebody who has raced several different divisions, and your husband races and has raced in several different divisions, to be on this side of it too, right?
Right, exactly. It just gives you a bigger it's a more eye-opening and an outlook on, there's more to racing than just sitting behind the wheel. I'm a diehard race fan regardless. I could be sitting in the stands and just enjoy it as much, but to learn the other side of it is just so intriguing and so interesting, and it's just a lot of work behind the scenes that I don't think people recognize and realize.
I think we talk about that all the time. Being a promoter or being on this side of it, there is so much that goes into things that the general fan and racer really probably doesn't know.
Right.
Your racing career started when you were a kid. Of course, your dad's raced forever.
Yep.
Everybody knows Scott Ward, modified driver, late model driver, won 1 million races, been kind of a polarizing figure sometimes, which is fun, and I say that lovingly because we get along really good. But he's had a really good career, and then all of a sudden you come along and you decide you want to race. Did you start in a mod, or did you start in a Midwest mod, or refresh me on where your career started?
So when I was 18, I finally convinced him that I could race, and
let's pause. Easy to convince him or not? Like, I have an idea of how that conversation went, how to go.
Well, I mean, it took a couple of years,
yeah, exactly.
And it just was like, because he had to give up one of his cars.
Right,
so he actually traded his late model for a B mod.
Okay.
And so I started with a B mod, raced that for a couple of years. I destroyed it. He was sick of it. He had a spare mod, so he threw me in there, and I was, hooked
for sure.
even more then. And then finally we decided that it's crazy and not smart of us to have one trailer, one race team with 2 different parts.
Sure.
So that's when I converted over to a late model, and it was my dream car. So when he asked me, I'm like, is that even a question?
Right. So talk about the mod career. You won some races, ran really well. I think a couple of the moments that I remember, USMTS races in Watertown at your home racetrack, I feel like you and your dad battled for a heat race win one time. I might be making that up, but I feel like that happened. And just some of the times that you've you outrun him or got to at least race with him. How fun is that?
It is fun, and it's always a sign of respect when I know that he either starts behind me or starts next to me. We don't ever, and this is crazy to say, we don't talk when we're at the races. If we talk, it's a very quick interaction of saying, good luck, have fun.
Sure.
But so when we're in the car, it's just nice to know that, okay, if he's there, if he's in front of me, I know I have a solid person to follow.
Sure.
So it's always an experience, and I will never take one lap for granted or one race for granted when I'm able to race with him, because, you never know how long Mr. Scott Ward's going to be racing.
Right. So then the decision to move from a mod to a late model, like you said, it was probably financially smarter and just smarter in general, putting everything into one division.
Yep.
So that happened when? When did you officially jump into the late model?
It would have been 3 summers ago. Okay. So I started that, and I'm going into my 4th season this year.
Okay, so transition from mod to late model, easy, harder than you thought? How would you rate kind of the open wheel to the full fender?
I can't ever say anything's easy in the racing world, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. But going from a mod to a late model, I will say it fit my driving style better.
Okay.
I'm not a pedal smasher like, Scott Ward, so I was able to adjust a little easier, and being able to get in a car that he has raced before and won many, many races with, my confidence going into that season and into that car was just a little bit higher than another season prior.
Sure.
So easy is probably the most, clearest word to use, but again, racing's not easy, but right. I will say I will never move from a late model division again.
Right. Let's talk 2022 specifically. You ran a bunch of WISSOTA stuff, you ran some tri-state stuff. I can pick out a couple memories, and I didn't see you race all that often, but Huset's sticks out in my mind for sure, and I know you want to talk about that. Getting in the Sites race, I know, sticks out in my mind. You probably want to talk about that. Talk about some highlights from the year, those two specifically, but anything else.
Yeah, so I would just say every night is a highlight of mine, because I'm just able to race.
Sure.
But yeah, I will say the John Sites Memorial last year, just a late model race in general, but to be against all those competitors at the Memorial is just, oh my gosh, you walk in with nerves. So to be able to say I made the feature last year, that was my goal. And to be the first woman is even better. But then this year going in, I was, looked at my heat race, I'm like, okay, you can still do it. But then to be able to lock myself in on the first night, was something I honestly never would have thought would have happened. Just with the competitors, there's no names there. So that was absolutely amazing to go into the second night knowing that, hey, you're okay. You already made it. And then obviously, yes, Huset's with the Tri-State Series. To be racing at Huset's alone is like, oh my gosh, so cool. But I ended up getting second. I ran for the lead with Trevor Anderson for a few laps, and then got Hard Charger Award, which is even cooler. So yeah, I'm excited to go back to Huset's, and I don't think we'll ever miss a John Sites Memorial race going forward.
That's right. Well, here's the thing about the Sites race to me, and we've said this for a lot of years, when anybody from Watertown area comes, whether it's a mod or a B mod or a late model, River Cities and Casino are similar, right? I mean, they're both quarter miles, they're both relatively banked, you got to be up on the gas. There's a lot of similarities there, so naturally, you're just probably a little more comfortable there than if the place was a giant half mile, right?
Right, and I will say half miles, those, you got to have a bigger motor, and I don't have that, so it is nice because I would say the reaction time is probably key thing for shorter tracks, and being able to race Watertown every single week, that does help. And obviously you can probably see with Tyler Peterson being such a dominant racer there, and obviously Scotty and all the other WISSOTA late model drivers that come to Watertown, you can see it helps at both tracks.
Oh, no doubt about it. Let's focus on 2023, and then Josh is probably looking at his watch wondering why I'm keeping you so long, so I'll let you go here in a second. But 2023, same schedule, WISSOTA stuff, Tri-State stuff, Watertown, like you said, Sites Memorial. I know schedules aren't out quite yet, but what is on the agenda for you?
Well, obviously work comes first, so I'm excited to go to a full race season with my race pass. So hopefully I'll be able to sneak in a few races. So obviously at Casino Speedway, my home track in Watertown, hit up a couple Tri-States that go to Huset's, and then see where else. Obviously, with schedules out, it's hard to say, but I just follow the boss, and obviously with my husband racing Lee, I follow him as well. So sometimes we get torn in different directions, so sometimes I have to pick and choose. But if I just get to race once a week or even a couple times a month, I'm happy. So wherever it goes, wherever the hauler goes and the 37 Junior goes, I'm lucky to go.
Let's wrap this up with your husband. obviously former sprint car racer, right? That's what he in my world is most known for, right? He ran real well in a sprint car. Now he's full-time in a modified, and he's running really well in a modified. Is there, I guess, how's the dinner table sometimes when he either does really good or crashes and does something stupid? I mean, you're one of those people, and I say this in a very positive way, but you're not going to hold back what your thoughts are, right? I'm the same way. When somebody does something dumb, and especially if it's your husband or your wife, I feel like it's kind of a fun conversation. How do those conversations go?
Well, if anyone knows Lee, he is a very quiet individual.
Yes, he is.
But when he puts his fire suit on, he is a completely different individual, and he makes every night a unique experience. So the mod world, for me to watch him, it's different because I do miss the sprint car racing because it was always took me somewhere else. But the dinner table wise, it's hard because I like to lighten up the mood, so I make fun of him.
Sure, exactly.
But it's also a crazy experience when Christmas time comes around because my brother-in-law races, then my father, then my husband, then myself, and so usually the conversations go into racing and how stupid one of us did at some point or what we did. So it's always entertainment in our household.
I believe it is. I can only imagine how that goes. So same plans for the most part, 2023. Yep. Lee going to run a mod again, I assume, and same schedule for him?
Oh yeah, he's got to stick to that mod program.
All right. There's nothing wrong with that. He's running well in it. So I'll let you get back to the PRI show here. Any last thoughts? Anything else we didn't cover?
No, I can't wait for the 2023 race season, and if anybody has any questions about my race pass, you can find me on social media or just stop at our booth at PRI.
MyRacepass.com.
Thank you.
There it is. That's Morgan Ward Grosz.